800-951-0592. Joe and Jason here on this Monday. Gold's up 50, 1,917, 1,918. Silver's up $1.53 now, just bumping up here on $22 right now. The Dow's up 200, all because bond yields collapsing. They're trying to be optimistic about no rate hike on Wednesday. But Jason, let's remember, tomorrow we get CPI. On Wednesday, before the Fed announces, we'll get retail sales and we'll also get PPI. Right now, CPI looks like they're expecting core CPI to be the exact same as it was the previous month, which is 0.4%. So I don't know how we don't get a rate hike. If we don't get a rate hike, I think that sends an even worse message that things are a lot worse than they are. I think most people already know we need a 50 basis point hike, but I'm going to say we're going to get a quarter, but if we don't and we get nothing, that means that contagion threat is very, very real.
If we get nothing on Wednesday, that's you can talk every single day for the next couple of months how weak Jerome Powell is. you already called him weak.
Probably $2,000 gold. If we don't get a rate hike on Wednesday, be ready for $2,000 gold because that's how quickly things are going to move here. We do have a limited special here. I've got 85 $20 gold pieces. $2,175. That's a savings of $20. The problem was that was when gold was up 40. It's now up 50, right? We're probably going to see 22, 25 tomorrow, something like that, maybe higher. And then 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles. Right now they're $265 a roll. I'm going to put those on sale, $250 a roll. We've got 10 rolls of those. 10 rolls of 10th ounce gold eagles. There's 50 in a roll. You can buy one. You can buy 50. Doesn't matter. You can buy them all. $250 on the 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle. $2,175 on the $20 Liberties. And think about it, between Friday and today, you got gold up, about 85, 90, $95, almost $100. And I'm sitting here telling you, hey, don't be surprised if on Wednesday we're not talking about gold over 2,000.
Yeah, Joe, and I fully believe that the Fed is going to do a quarter-point rate hike. I don't see how, and I think they're going to do a quarter point through the rest of the year. And if this thing gets worse, I still think they do quarter point. I think this is a moment where the Fed's going to start to show everybody who's in charge. I'm starting to get that feeling, Joe.
And who's going to tell you? You're giving them way too much credit.
The Fed is going to benefit from this, Joe. We know you've talked about how many banks we're going to lose in the next couple of years. This is exactly what they want to happen, isn't it?
Well, the digital currency is coming. There's no need, again, for them to have these thousands of banks, and the pain game is coming. Now, some things to point out that are different than the last time. So they tried to have an auction last night and get another bank, a healthier bank, to buy Silicon Valley Bank. The difference was last time, like when Bear Stearns went under. See, they don't count Bear Stearns as going under. Bear Stearns got sold for $2. Right. Matter of fact, the only real big bank failure was probably Washington Mutual, WAPO, right? They were the big one. And then they realized, oh, crap, we can't do that again. So they guaranteed the losses. So when Jamie Dimon bought Bear Stearns for $2, it also came with a caveat. Oh, by the way, you don't have to pay for any of the losses at Bear Stearns. They did not do that yesterday. They said, hey, does anybody want to buy it? Remember, this was a $300 stock when Jim Cramer was on the idiot box telling you all to buy it in February. Matter of fact, they were on the idiot box a couple weeks ago saying buy Signature Bank. They're both gone. but they wouldn't insure the losses. So all the shareholders are going to get wiped out here. All the bondholders are going to get wiped out. Now but they did say, because let's face it, most of the deposits at this bank were businesses, whether they were venture capital firms, Roku, right? Some of these others, they said that they're going to make sure they get all their money back. Now, people on TV today are basically saying, hey, the Fed is saying, hey, all deposits are going to be guaranteed. That's not what they said. They said in these two cases, they are going to do it. Here's the problem, is they're using the FDIC's own funds. Remember, I've been educating you about this. They had, as of Friday, $125 billion in there. Now, we know that Silicon Valley Bank had $23 billion insured deposits. So that takes the fund down to about $102 billion. Signature Bank, I want to say their deposits are like $10 billion insured. So that brings it down to $92 billion. Now they're going to sell all of these securities. And they're going to be light on the deposits, but they're going to keep them whole. My guess is, I'm just guessing, I think about $20 billion light between the two banks. That puts the FDIC fund down to about $70 billion. Jason, they've only got room for a couple more banks to fail before they run out of money.
And the FDIC money wasn't supposed to be insuring 85 to 90% of the Silicon Valley Bank money, because 85 to 90% of it was above the 250,000 threshold. So really, that should have just failed. But, you can't have that failing on a Monday morning, because what other banks will follow suit within 20
Wall Street would probably be closed right now. Well, and I mean that because it would be down lock limit. They wouldn't be opening. Listen, I'm not saying they did the wrong thing, the right thing. Obviously, the problem is, how the hell did they not see this coming? And this has been always the problem. They're clueless. They told us it wouldn't happen again. Too big to fail. We changed all the rules. Blah, 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 blah. And here's the realities. You can't have interest rates at zero. They had ridiculous policies. And guess what, Jason? They didn't anticipate this problem. And now it's biting them in the ass. And now we've got inflation, and people are talking about the Fed needs to stop raising rates, because, listen, if the Fed goes a quarter point and a quarter point and a quarter point and a quarter point, like Jason and I have been thinking they were going to do, we're going to have bank failures all year long. (800-951-0592). I've got two lines open right now. 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles. We're down to 9 rolls left. We started with 10. They're 250. Sorry, we have 8 rolls left. We started with 10. They're $250 a piece. If you want an entire roll, that's 50 coins in the roll. The roll is $12,500. And then the $20 Liberties, we had 85 of them. Like I said, I've only got 2 lines open. Got 1 line open. I don't know how many of those are left right now at $2,175. Jason and I both got, I'll tell you this again, I've been doing this a long time. I got something that I had that's new. It was what we thought was the price sheet from the bullion bank. And instead of a price sheet, it simply was a message that said, due to overwhelming demand, please disregard previous markups on products. We will have a new sheet out within the hour. And then in big letters, premiums are going way up. So again, this is just what is happening here. 800-951-0592. And again, we've seen premiums go up. Premiums are still way off from where they were. So that's a good thing. But I've never gotten a letter that said, hey, by the way, we got overwhelming demand. Give us an hour before we tell you how much it's going to cost you, Jason.
And premiums, there's a lot of reasons why it would go up or down, but our main reason is if simply the gold is not available, the premiums will push higher if the spot price doesn't keep up. If the spot price would go where it's supposed to go for supply and demand, then the premiums wouldn't be as high. So it's simply the premiums is kind of like the honest version of supply and demand, at least more honest.
The Mint's not going to be able to keep up with this. There's no way. There's just not. It's not going to happen. And not to mention, we talked about these banks here. Wells Fargo. Did you see they had a computer glitch? So people's deposits weren't showing up. People couldn't access their money. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Joe, all the Wells Fargo employees did not get their paychecks Friday. So that was a part of that glitch. They didn't send paychecks. I mean, it's supposed to be a glitch. Oh no, it was just a coincidence. But that's a bad timing on a coincidence that all the Wells Fargo employees didn't get paid Friday. Not a good thing, Joe.
Not a good thing at all. And again, this is just, it's a simple problem, which is these banks did exactly what they were told. You get deposits in, you buy securities. These securities, primarily, as we've talked about, U.S. Treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. First Republic, it's a bank we've been talking a lot about. Right now, their stock's down 60% more today. Reason being, well, guess what? 85% of the securities they bought were based on mortgage-backed securities. That could be commercial mortgage-backed, residential mortgage-backed, 85%, which we know is at least 10, 15, maybe 20% underwater. And this is why people are worried that, hey, I'm a big depositor at First Republic. I'm not feeling real confident right now, and I'm going to move my money. And this is what we're talking about. This is the different crisis this time, where what we're learning is, hey, all the securities are losses. The last time we knew, hey, if you had residential mortgage-backed securities, that bank was in trouble. But if you had treasuries were still okay in 2008. Jason, this time around, they're both losers because remember, a lot of the securities they bought, they were buying, 10-year notes at 0.5%. Well, even with the big collapse in the 10-year note today, it's still at 3.5%. You're losing money.
And I think commercial property is what's really under the stress this time, Joe. I think it's one of the big ones. I mentioned to Joe, I got a list over the weekend of pronounced closures of stores just in Colorado. This is just the Colorado. Listen to this list of retailers that are closing stores in Colorado: Walmart, Macy's, Bed Bath & Beyond, Bath & Body Works, Best Buy, Gap, JCPenney, Party City, Amazon, Tuesday Morning, Big Lots, Sprouts. And many of these guys are closing multiple stores. And this is just Colorado. And Joe, doesn't it make it that they're announcing ahead of time that they're going to close this stuff? Doesn't it seem like somebody knows, hey, these loans don't make sense anymore. We can't afford these properties. And they just aren't selling anything.
I don't know. Again, 800-951-0592. We haven't seen the worst of this yet. All eyes now on Wednesday with these rate hikes and the Fed kind of announcing that, hey, these banks can go to the Fed window now and we'll pay, even money on these treasuries. But here's what's funny. The Fed's supposed to be selling treasuries. Well, now they're going to be buying them. Where are they getting the money for that? Oh, that's right. They're going to make it out of thin air, almost like another version of quantitative easing. And the Fed is actually going to overpay. And here's the sad part. These banks that are going to the window, they're not the big banks. These are the little banks. That means the depositors have left them already. When exactly are they going to be able to pay these loans back, Jason? That doesn't make sense.
How many times have I asked you in the last few months, are we going to see a rate hiking situation with quantitative easing side by side? Is that what we're headed for? And I think that's what we're headed for, Joe. I think the Fed's ready to, listen, let's face it, if banks are going to start going away, the Fed's not going to go away. And if they can't control inflation, then there's no need to have the Fed. So they have to attack inflation. They have to keep raising the rates. They're going to really show everybody who's boss, Joe.
And I say this right now, if this problem doesn't go away, we've either seen the last rate hike or this is the last rate hike if this problem doesn't go away, which means we are going to have to live with much, much higher inflation than anybody ever thought about possible. We'll be back after the break. $800-951-0592. They're doing all they can to ensure everything. I always get nervous because all the time when these bank CEOs come out to try to reassure us everything's great, we find out usually pretty quickly afterwards it's not. Lloyd Blankline was out. Ackman was out. They had First Republic. Well, not that many depositors are pulling out their money. And I'm just like, well, it's only Monday morning here. What's not that many? And here's the problem. It doesn't take that many.
We're good, man.
Doesn't take that money. When asked, hey, give us a number, they refuse to do so. So that doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence. And of course, the Fed action today, they're trying to tell everybody, well, see, now you don't have to take your deposit out of that small bank, right? Because we said they're all good. So you don't have to. And I don't think that works, Jason, because I don't think a lot of people out there are like, wait a minute. Why don't you haven't said that yet. When I hear Joe Biden and Janet Yellen and Jay Powell come out and say, hey, FDIC insurance is now everybody's covered for every amount. Okay, then I'll believe you. That's not what they did. Well, we did it for these two banks, and don't worry, we're not going to have it cost you, the taxpayer. But oh, by the way, the funds pretty much almost out of money that we're using to begin with. But Jason, they didn't go that far, and I'm just sitting there. If I'm a small business guy, and it's not small business, medium business, big business. If I'm a person that has large deposits in a small bank, and by small, I mean, hey, you're not one of the big 8 banks. I mean, that's what we're defining as small now. In a non-stress test bank, do I leave my money there? Do I risk it? And I'm thinking a lot of CEOs are like, you know what, screw it. Why risk it? Right? Why risk it? I'm just to be safe. We're going to go somewhere else. We're going to go to one of the big banks that gets the stress test that we know the government's going to bail out and all of those other things. I think that's natural. I don't know that today's action actually did go far enough. We're going to have to wait and see.
The FDIC only has so much money, so a big percentage of it just went out the door to save the over 250,000 guys. So only take a few more of those, Joe, before the FDIC is out. Now, I'm sure the Fed could swoop in and start sprinkling money on everything, but then there goes the inflation. And I'll say this, Joe. I know that you talked about, hey, maybe one more rate hike or maybe they'll end it. I don't, Joe. I could see them do a 1/4 point rate hike the rest of this year and into next year and still not catch up to inflation. That's the problem.
Yeah, again, it all depends on bank runs. You can't keep raising rates and having bank runs. You just can't. Just that won't happen.
There's a first time for everything.
And again, I think the other part you're missing is what are these businesses doing now? Are they going to keep spending money, or they're going to be like, you know what? That just scared me. I'm scared now. You know what? I'm looking at the bond market. I'm looking at how many people are in there buying massive amounts of treasury. That says fear to me. And I'm wondering now if we're going to have a lot more CEOs and CFOs all of a sudden shut their wallets. And we've been waiting we always thought that they're going to raise rates into this crash. Maybe all of a sudden the bank runs kind of leads up to this. Hey, I'm going to transfer my money to one of the big banks. And you know what? I'm going to shut my wallet for a while. Yeah,
but then if you keep printing the money and saving institution after institution, don't you have the threat of hyperinflation?
You see, that's the catch-22, right?
Got to have the 1/4 point rate hike.
We want to stop printing the money, but yet we're going to print the money, right? Well, which one is it, right? Listen, 800-951-0592, $20 gold, $21.75. 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles, $250. 800-951-0592. Jason and I, we're coming right back with the half empty cup.